The one moment of triumphalism that Theresa May allowed herself at her party conference was when she stood next to Ruth Davidson and said that they had saved the Union, in her words.
I think that's called clutching at straws.
But she's sort of right, isn't she? The last general election did put your, hopes of another referendum very much on the back burner, didn't it?
Bit in a minute, but I sit here as leader of a party that is right now 17 points clear of our nearest rival in Scotland, polling at a higher level than we did after our election victories in 2007 and 2011 at the same point. So we're in a very, very strong position. On the question of independence, when I watch, and as I think when many people watch, the utter chaos that is now engulfing the UK, when we look forward and see the implications of Brexit, that sort of slow-motion car crash that is developing right now, then actually the case for Scotland being in control of our own destiny, having control over the decisions that shape our lives, has arguably never been greater. So that's a case I will continue to make. I do want to talk to you at length about
Brexit, but just on this issue of a second referendum, there are some in your party who do believe that one of the reasons you did rather badly, or worse than many people expected, in the last general election, is that you pushed too hard for an early vote. Is that? I mean, did you personally make a mistake on that?
Again, I'll come on to that, but let me. I will continue to try to put some context into what you're saying. When I became SNP leader, the SNP had 6 MPs in the House of Commons. Today we've got 35 MPs, so I think it's important to have that sense of perspective.
Okay.
But on my feeling during the general election was that whatever people thought about independence, for, against it, or still undecided on independence, there is a sense that because of the uncertainty of Brexit, because so many things feel to be up in the air right now, that it is premature to effectively set a date right now. We need to let the dust settle, and that's effectively what I've accepted. So I've said I will not consider...
So you made a misjudgment initially, then?
Well, look, you can characterise it in any way you want. I've tried all through. Remember, Brexit is not a circumstance I want to be in. I think the whole thing is a disaster, and I think it's going to get worse. So I've tried to judge things as best I can based on the best interests of Scotland. So in that respect, going back, without the benefit of hindsight, I would continue to do these things. But I've listened to that view, so I will not consider the timing.
When we'll know? When do you think we'll know the nature of Brexit, as it were, such that you can then make a judgment about whether
I think we will have to have some clarity towards the end of next year, because the exit point is March 2019, and Europe says, and I think Theresa May accepts this, there will be a period of ratification of whatever has been agreed. So, we will, I think that's the point, to take a fresh look at it and say, do we have that clarity
at the nature of a referendum?
At timing. So that, I'm pretty clear about that. But that doesn't mean I will not continue to make the case for Scotland being independent, because, as I say, we're seeing right now, and the case for independence doesn't rest on Brexit. You don't have to be against Brexit to support Scottish independence. But what it is a really stark illustration of what can happen to a country when we don't take the big decisions over our future ourselves. Instead, we let them be taken elsewhere, and we're being taken down a path now that we didn't want to go down, and is potentially deeply damaging to jobs and to living standards and to all sorts of other aspects of our life here.
Just sort of one more point on that before we move on. You wrote a formal letter to Theresa May, the Prime Minister, asking for a second vote under the Scotland Act. Did you ever get a formal reply?
I don't think she sent a formal reply, which I have to say I think reflects rather badly on her. It's rather rude not to reply to correspondence. But, in a sense, I've not pressed that, because that was before I said what I've now said about considering again timing next year. So in a sense, it's not as immediately pressing now. And I'll continue to, consider that in the timescale I've set out, but also continue to make the case for having control over our own destiny in our own hands, because that case has been made for us in many ways every single day right now.